Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. My name is Dr. Ghost and today I'm going to be going over some ships that you guys might want to suggest or, might want to maybe think about picking up with the 70% coupon. I know a lot of you guys are probably going into the missions tab right now and doing the mission for the 70% off any ship in the game. Now, if we head on over to the store and we head to the ships tab, as you guys can see, there's a lot of ships in here. Now I'm gonna kind of shrink it down for you guys, okay? Now trust me when I say this, but I would spend it on a tier 7 premium or a tier 6 premium, especially for people who don't already have a tier 6 or 7 premium ship. In case you guys did not know, Tier 6 and 7 premiums in World of Warships Legends make the most amount of credits, they make the most amount of XP, and they make the most amount of everything. So it's just nice to have as many Tier 6 and 7 premium ships as possible, and mainly Tier 7 premium ships, because Tier 7 premiums make the most of everything. They're very important to have. You know, credits are going to be something you're going to need a lot of in World of Warships Legends. Currently, I am broke as hell on credits. I've got everything else, I just need credits, because I'm always spending credits. So, you guys will run into a lot of issues in your World of Warships Legends careers, where you will need lots and lots of lump sums of credits. So, let's go over some Tier 6 and 7 premiums that I recommend, okay, for each class. So, first off is the Destroyers. Now, what is a good, solid Tier 7 destroyer for torpedo boats? Well, the number one pick I'm going to have to suggest is the Udachi. If you guys love stealth ninja torpedo boats, then the Udachi is going to be one of the best out there, okay? Udachi has ridiculous torpedoes, and it has some hard-hitting guns as well. I have the Udachi. I don't play it a lot because it's not my playstyle. I cannot fucking stand the back of the map, you know, sit on the edge of a cap, send torpedoes out every minute. It's so brainless. I hate it so fucking much. But some people find it fun. And, well, congrats. I'm glad you find it fun, but I don't. But, you know, this is a video for everybody here, so I'm going to try to help everybody out, you know, because that's what I do, despite me having some things and opinions, but, you know. Anyway, so the Udachi, what makes it so good? Well, it has great torpedoes. The torpedoes are utterly ridiculous. 21, almost 22,000 damage, maximum damage potential on these torpedoes. These fucking torpedoes hit like freight trains. These almost do the same amount of damage as Shimikaze torpedoes. Okay, so ridiculous. And they reload fairly quickly as well, especially if you can get a good commander up on it. Like, for example, my Udachi has Raizo Tanaka on it. So he's a really good commander for your stealth torpedo boats. Overall, Udachi, a very good Tier 7. Probably the best Tier 7 torpedo boat in the game. And a lot of people seem to have kind of forgot about it, but good. I'm glad they fucking forgot about it, because this thing is ridiculous. Especially in the hands of a decent player. Anybody can make this thing work, as long as you can actually hit torpedoes with them. I mean, it's ridiculous. So, yeah, Udachi, my first pick here for stealth torpedo boats. Okay, really solid. Now for gunboats. Now, if you guys are gunboat enjoyers, then I suggest, I don't even think the black is not available, unfortunately. Oh man, so that kind of makes it weird. Because I would have suggested the black, but for gunboat tier 7s, for anybody who wants a solid, oh, this is not even available for, damn. So Friesland, damn, that's kind of hard to pick now. So for people who like gunboat build destroyers, I would probably, I don't think there's any available for doubloons that really interests me. So if I had to, like, say, if you absolutely despise torpedo boats, and you don't really want a torpedo boat, but you want a destroyer that can, you know, mainly gunboat and stuff like that, then I would probably suggest picking up the ZF6. The ZF6 is a tier 7 premium destroyer, but she is more, you know, equipped with guns. Now, she does have torpedoes as well, just as a bonus, but her guns are also really good as well. She's got decent AA, all that stuff. So ZF6 is a solid little, you know, all-around destroyer in terms of guns, firepower, all the stuff, right? But she also has decent torpedoes as well. All around, the ZF6 is really good. She's got good guns, good torpedoes, good AA, etc., etc., etc. Germans are a really good option for people who can't really make up their mind if they like torpedoing or gunboating better. So the Germans kind of just do everything pretty nicely. They can gunboat, they can torpedo, they can do all of the stuff. And a lot of people might find that appealing. Now, this is one of the rare German destroyers that does not come with sonar, so you're kind of lacking there, right? But you still have, you know, smokes and all that, and you have a unique main battery reload booster, so you can even be better in gunfights. So ZF6 is probably what I would recommend for anybody who wants an all-around solid tier 7 premium destroyer. I can't really think of any others. Is Lo Yang in here? Is Lo Yang available for doubloons? I don't think it is. I think it's just for GXP. So yeah, I would say yeah. I guess the is there anything in the United Kingdom here? No, not really. Not really. So yeah. I mean, that's just the tier 7 picks, okay? For tier 7 premium destroyers, I would say Yudachi for torpedo boat lovers, and for everything else, go with the ZF6, okay? I mean, you can't go wrong with the ZF6. Now for tier 6 destroyers, okay? So if you're wanting a tier 6 premium, another one, I would recommend right off the bat for gunboat destroyers. I have to say it. I mean, come on. Y'all should know me by now, but the USS Kidd, man. Kidd is just, mwah. It's absolutely phenomenal at gunboating. And it has decent AA and all that stuff. Now, the only area where it struggles in is torpedoes, but it doesn't matter. You got the guns, you got the firepower, you got all the things. It's a massive amount of fun. I love my Kidd, man. Kidd's amazing. And if you like gunboats, you will absolutely love the Kidd. The Kidd is a Fletcher-class destroyer. She's actually still available in real life to visit, I believe, today. Actually, I think she might be undergoing repairs, so maybe not. But Kidd, man, great gunboat. I'm just going to say it. If you like your Fletchers, if you like any gunboating, Kidd's a great option for doubloons. So another great one. Now, if I had to say another solid one, there's a lot of solid tier 6 destroyers. Another great one is the Z35. Z35 is so strong because mainly, number one, it's got good guns. It's got decent torpedoes, just like the ZF6 we were talking about earlier. So the Z35 can do everything pretty well. And it's got this broken German sonar. 5-kilometer sonar on a tier 6 destroyer is ridiculous. This is unbelievably strong. You could even outgun, you know, ships like Kidd, because if you can manage to smoke up and get close to somebody and then pop your sonar, there's nothing the enemy can do. There's nothing they can do. You have absolute control of, you know, the engagement that you're in when you have your smoke and your sonar up and that ship is within 5 kilometers. It's fucking Jover for him, man. So Z35, really fucking strong tier 6 destroyer. Now, if you're wanting just a sole torpedo boat, if you don't like gunboats or anything like that because you're weird and you're a completely one-dimensional person, then, I mean, you can't go wrong with, once again, another Japanese torpedo boat. Is it even available? I don't think it is. I don't think you can buy it. Never mind. I was thinking the Masashio, but apparently you can't buy the Asashio with the balloons. I was going to say the Asashio. So never mind. Is the Benham available for torpedoes? I know the Benham is really, yeah, it is. For doubloons. So the Benham's a really another fun option for torpedoes. It does have decent little guns too. But the Benham has 16 torpedoes, man. 8 torpedoes per side. Now the torpedoes do low amounts of damage. They only do like 9,000 damage, but you're putting out fucking 16 of them every minute or so. It's ridiculous. The Benham is super fun. I'm probably gonna have to buy this again because this is just a ridiculously good destroyer, especially in the right hands for somebody who knows how to zone and everything with torpedoes. This thing could be absolutely ridiculous on so many different levels. Yeah, in terms of torpedoes. I mean, you could flood torpedoes everywhere. So yeah, I mean, that's the destroyers. I mean, there's a lot of fun options, but I mean, those are the ones that stick out for me. Like, is there any United Kingdom destroyers that are good at torpedoes? I mean, not really. For premiums, I don't think so. But yeah. So, overall, I mean, you can't go wrong with those. So that's my destroyers. Now, let's move on to the cruisers. The cruisers that I recommend. Now, first off, overall, I would always suggest this to everybody. The Wichita. I mean, the Wichita is so good, man. I recommend this to everybody. If you don't have a Wichita and you like cruisers, pick this thing up. It's amazing. Yes, it's not the Wichita CE, but it's still great, man. You cannot go wrong with the Wichita. It's got great guns, decent maneuverability, good freaking armor. It's got radar, it's got sonar, it's got heals, it's got all the maneuverability. It's got everything. The Wichita is good at everything. It's got great guns, check. It's got good armor, check. 27 millimeters, by the way, so you can ricochet 15-inch guns or smaller. Amazing. It's got great freaking utilities. It's got heals, it's got radars, and they're American radars, so they're 9 kilometers with a 30-second duration. This thing has sonar. It's pretty decent sonar, like 4 kilometers. It's got decent agility, and I'm not even built into it, by the way, and look at this maneuverability. 33 knots and 680 meter turning circle on a heavy cruiser is ridiculous. It's got decent AA, it's got good firepower, good survivability, and again, it's got radar, it's got it's just overall, it's super solid. You cannot go wrong with the Wichita. Wichita is just, oh, it's so good, man. It really is. So I always recommend getting this, man. Wichita is amazing. It just really is. Now, right now, I know there's a lot of carriers running around, so another good option is the Rochester. The Rochester is basically a better Baltimore. It's not a Baltimore, but it's the class right after the Baltimore class. Heavy cruisers. This is an Oregon City class heavy cruiser. It's got Baltimore guns. It's got better AA, but the only downside with this is it lacks radar. It doesn't have radar, and you have to choose between smoke or heal. You don't get radar. You have to choose between smoking or healing. So it's like don't get me wrong, in some situations the Rochester can be amazing because it's still an American heavy cruiser. It's still got decent armor. It's still got amazing Baltimore guns, but it just doesn't have that radar, and it really sucks, man. Like, for that reason, I really need that radar in a lot of situations because, you know, as a cruiser, your job is to hunt down enemy destroyers for your team, and if you can't do that, it seems like you're struggling, you know, pretty hard there. But you still can have good games, though, in this thing. I still like taking out my Rochester from time to time, especially in, like, a carrier division, and just going absolutely fucking ham on planes. Because this thing comes default with a DFAA, and the AA defense, if you build into it like I have here, it's ridiculous. I mean, you can have some really solid AA on this thing. It's pretty nice, man. So Rochester, good one as well, just for like shooting down planes and kind of being selfish, unfortunately. It's a more support cruiser. I did make a video or two on this back in the day when this first came out. About a year ago, I literally called it an AA support cruiser. That's what it is. It's just a support cruiser. The Wichita can get in there and do a lot more. It can get in there radar, it can sonar, it does a lot more. It's got more carry potential. That's why I always prefer my Wichita. Now, what are some other nations' ships that are decent? I mean, you can't go wrong with, for example, the, I don't know if it's in here, but I was going to say the Japanese Tier 7, what is it called? The Azuma. But I don't think it's available for doubloons, because then I think it would still be in here for me. So I guess I can't cover that. Is there anything in the United Kingdom that's pretty good? I know I heard good things about the Hampshire. I've heard the Hampshire's really strong. But another solid one, if you love British light cruisers, a lot of people do, Plymouth is a must-have. This thing is fucking I'm sorry, it's just retarded. It's absolutely busted on so many different levels. I think the Plymouth, to this day, is still my most XP ship. Like, I think I got the most base XP in this. Let me go check real quick. Statistics here. Yeah. My highest base XP was 4.7k in the Plymouth. I mean, it's ridiculous. You can have such ridiculous games in the Plymouth, and the main reason being it's got 16 6-inch guns. It has 8 guns off the bow, 8 guns off the stern. They're the same British short-fused, nasty armor-piercing shells that are found on all of the standard light cruisers. It's literally a tier 10 on PC, and it's a tier 7 on Legends. Like, this thing is supposed to be a tier 8 or legendary. It's ridiculous. And it's tier 7 premium, so you can make bank while smacking people around with your 16 6-inch guns. So, you can't go wrong with Plymouth. I would say, though, the only downside with the Plymouth, like most light cruisers, is it has a giant citadel. I mean, you will, if you get caught, you will blow up. Like, I've been dev struck so many times in this, but yeah. Literally, though, guys, the Plymouth is basically a Minotaur at tier 7. Like, it puts out Minotaur levels of DPM. It's that good. it just absolutely obliterates broadsides. Okay, you got to remember, this is a British light cruiser, so it only comes with armor piercing. So you really got to be trying to hit people in the side with those armor piercing shells. I mean, you can still saturate people's superstructure and make them cry a bit there, but another thing too is it has radar. If you want to run radar, you can, but you have to sacrifice a smoke screen for it. But the radar is the best radar at tier 7 if you decide to do it. It's got 9.9 kilometer range with a 40-second duration. This radar is the strongest radar at tier 7. Hands down. But it's risky because, you know, you don't get smokes. So you have to, like, you know, if you want to go radar Chad Plymouth, you can do it. So any Minotaur fans out there, if anybody loves the Minotaur, you will fucking love the Plymouth. It's one of those glass cannon high skill ships. If you can manage to just position yourself properly and just beam down hatred on people, you're gonna have a fun time and you're gonna get rewarded for it because it's a tier 7 premium. And you know, yeah, so Plymouth is another solid, you know, tier 7 to pick from. You can't go wrong with the Plymouth. It's just that good. Okay, let's see, is there any other ones that come to mind when it comes to tier 7 cruisers? I really don't think so. I think that's about it. Like, oh yeah, P-Bag's really good as well. I did actually, that's what I bought with the doubloons. I already have most of the cruisers that I want, so Peter Bag, Piotr Bagtration here. This is another solid one as well. It's Russian, so it's got Russian shell arcs, and it's got decent 180 millimeter guns, and it's got torpedoes, 8-kilometer torps. It's got sonar, it's got repairs, it's got radars, and they're 11.7 kilometer radars. The only downside is they only last about 23 seconds. So, but it's still pretty nice to have. I mean, yeah, you can't go wrong with P-Bag either. But I still prefer like ships like my Wichita, but I do like the P-Bag now, especially since it got buffed, and it's overall P-Bag is really good. Like, it's a pretty solid option at tier 7. I just don't prefer it personally, but that's just me. But it's still really strong. You can do some crazy things with the P-Bag as well. So yeah, I think that's going to go and do it for the cruisers for tier 7. Now let's talk about cruisers for tier 6. First thing I want to recommend to everybody is the Indianapolis. The Indianapolis is amazing. Because, number one, it comes with a 9.9 kilometer radar at tier 6. 10 kilometer radar, basically, at tier 6. If that doesn't say a lot, I don't know what else does. It also comes with a 25-second duration on that radar. So, pretty freaking nasty. Best radar cruiser at tier 6 in terms of that. It also has sonar as well. And the other thing about this cruiser is it's got American 203 millimeter guns. They are absolutely amazing. The turrets may not look pretty, but don't let that fucking fool you. These shells are ridiculous. And I'm not even like being, you know, biased there when I say that. I am American. I love my country, but I shit you not. These shells are fucking cracked. Like, if you can catch people at any angle, they got increased pen angles. They're super heavy armor piercing shells. They just rip things apart, man. Like, it's ridiculous. Now, another thing too about the Indianapolis is its speed and maneuverability, especially its maneuverability is just so strong. 620 meter turning circle at tier 6 on a heavy cruiser is ridiculous. I mean, yeah, just absolutely fantastic. Also, the concealment's pretty decent. The only downside though, and I mean the only downside with this ship, is the armor. But what cruiser at tier 6 doesn't have, you know, good armor? I mean, all of them have pretty shit armor. So it's nothing new. All you got to do is, again, you got to focus on positioning and using island cover and all that stuff and not being a dummy. And you will absolutely, you know, dominate. Like, it's common sense, guys. But then again, common sense ain't so freaking common, so, hey. But yeah, Indianapolis is my first pick. I mean, this thing's amazing. I absolutely love my Indianapolis. I still play it to this day. It's so good. Yeah, so that's probably the first pick. Another good option, too, for just raw, high explosive spammers is Flint, the Boise. I mean, two of these guys. The Flint, in case you guys didn't know, is an American light cruiser. It's an Atlanta class light cruiser. This is one of the Atlanta class light cruisers, but it's a little different because it has one less turret, but it has more AA. So the Flint has really good AA. It's got really good firepower. It just dishes out lots and lots of little tiny 5-inch guns. It's fun, and it has no armor, best armor. Meaning, most shells are going to overpen you. Like, you have a very small citadel, too, for a cruiser. I mean, that's not, like, super small, but that's small enough to where, like, most shells that will hit you, especially, you know, armor-piercing shells shot by battleships, will just go straight through your armor and overpen. And that's kind of how most of the Atlantas are. So, yeah. But the Flint comes with a smoke screen. It comes with sonar. So it's not a very aggressive cruiser. You're going to be sitting towards the back end of the map, and you're just going to be spitting out high explosive every 4 or 5 seconds. I mean, that's what the Flint does. And another one that's really good is the Boise. The Boise is a Helena class, or sorry, it's a Brooklyn class light cruiser. It's got 15 6-inch guns. Amazing firepower. It's got decent AA, and it's got a heal. It's got basically a really strong, almost super heal at tier 6. It's ridiculous. The heal is amazing in a lot of situations. As long as you don't get absolutely creamed in Citadel, you should be fine. But Boise's really strong as well. You can't go wrong with a Boise. The only downside is its reload is a bit high, but it's still, you got 15 6-inch guns. I mean, look at, you got 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. I mean, you got lots of firepower. The only downside, though, with this is, again, the armor's bad, but what cruiser at tier 6, you know? I mean, most tier 6 cruisers have shit armor. It's nothing new. But, again, it's got good firepower. It's got good AA. Okay survivability, especially with those heals. But the other downside is the maneuverability is not good. Like, for a light cruiser, it's very sluggish. At least in terms of speed. 30 knots on my build. Pretty bad. But, yeah, the turning circle, again, pretty bad as well. So, it's not going to be able to dodge a lot of stuff, but in the right hands, you could be, you know, an absolute menace. I still take my Boise out quite a bit to this day. It's amazing. Another good one is, again, the Atlanta. Atlanta is notorious for being an absolute fire-breathing demon, and it still is to this day. It's basically like the Flint. It's literally the same hull design as a Flint, but it's got one more turret. It's got great guns, lots of firepower. It's got torpedoes. These are shorter range torpedoes. They're only 4.5 kilometer torpedoes. The Flint actually has 9 kilometer torpedoes, so that's something too I forgot to mention about the Flint. The AA is really good. Again, it's in Atlanta. Literally, the Atlantas were designed to shoot down planes. And overall, Atlanta's pretty strong. And did I forget to mention it's got radar? 8.5 kilometer radar. Yeah, it's another good radar ship at tier 6. For the Japanese, you do have some solid picks in here, I think, as well. No, not really. Maya, I mean, I wouldn't suggest Maya. I haven't even played it. I don't even own it, so I can't suggest it. Cheshire's a pretty good option too. I don't have it, but I know it's got the best AA at tier 6 for a cruiser. The AA is ridiculous. So if you like AA ships, can't go wrong with Cheshire. The maneuverability is not half bad either for a heavy cruiser. The concealment's not bad either, and you got some big freaking guns. You got some 230mm guns. So, but again, the only downside is the Citadel. I mean, this is huge. I mean, that is ridiculous. It's got a giant Citadel. So, I mean, there's that. And another downside is that Cheshire only has 6 guns. It's got 2 off the bow. Or sorry, 4 off the bow and 1 off the stern. And I don't like 6-gun cruisers. I never have. So I'm probably not going to be picking this ship up anytime soon. But it's not a bad option for people who want an alternative, like, you know, ship. Just something different. Oh, yeah, and I forgot to mention, it comes with heals as well. Almost every British cruiser has heals. It's still not as good as the Boise's heal, but it's still a good heal nonetheless. So yeah, Cheshire, not a bad option. For the Germans, I don't think there's any in here that I would recommend for cruisers. I mean, Munchen's not a bad option, but I don't think I'd recommend it. I haven't played it, and I don't know. I don't think so. If Weimar was still at tier 6, that would have been the very first thing I would have recommended, but it's not, so thank God. Oh yeah, I forgot. Another good option is the Charlemagne. For any French cruiser enjoyers out there, this is the Charles Martel. It's literally a Charles Martel at tier 6 with slightly shittier shells and stuff like that to make it balanced. But, I mean, if you like Frenchies, here's another option for you guys out there. The Charlemagne. For the USSR, none in here that I'd recommend. They don't even have a tier 6 cruiser, I don't think. Bozos. There's probably none unrecommended here either for the Italians, but, I mean, Gorizia is not a bad option. It's got sonar and all that stuff, which the Zara doesn't, I don't think, so. And, yeah, so that's for the tier 6 cruisers. That's what I recommend. And finally, the very last thing I'm going to recommend is the battleships. So for tier 7 battleships, the first one I'm going to recommend to everybody, okay, is the tier 7 American Premium, the Massachusetts. I have to recommend this to everybody because it's just amazing. It can do everything. Massachusetts has great guns. It's got great AA. It's got great maneuverability. It's got great agility. It's got decent speed. It's got the best torpedo protection out of almost every battleship in the entire game. It's got decent secondaries if you build into it. Overall, like, Massachusetts is ridiculously strong. There's really nothing this ship does bad. It's got good guns, great armor. It's got a fucking overall really good hull. I mean, it just looks good, and it's a very good hull. I actually think the South Dakotas are better than the Iowas in this game. In real life, I think the Iowas are better, but it's not real life. It's wargaming, and, well, we know how fucking ridiculous their, concepts are. I like how the South Dakotas are more accurate than the Iowas, which makes zero fucking sense, but we're dealing with wargaming here, so, again. But yeah, super solid battleship, and you don't believe me, I mean, look. The maneuverability for a battleship is unheard of. 700-meter turning circle. 27.5 knots on my build. It's got great AA because it's an American battleship. It's got great guns. Decent secondaries. Like, on my build right now, I'm running a secondary build. My secondaries go out to 10.5 kilometers, which is unheard of for an American battleship. Overall, good armor, and it's so good. And it's tier 7 premium, so it makes money, right? Now, if you're wanting a more gun-focused battleship, the Alabama is her sister ship. It's another South Dakota class battleship. The Alabama. It's just better at dealing damage with the guns. I run my Massachusetts as a brawler, and I run my Alabama as a more gun-focused battleship. And Alabama is another really good ship in terms of firepower. Same thing, it's got decent maneuverability. It's got decent concealment, great AA, great fucking guns. You can't go wrong with Alabama either. Also, Florida, don't recommend it. Don't do it. Don't fall for that bullshit. It's not worth it. Where's the, I was going to say Constellation for tier 7 battleships. Pretty solid option as well if you like the more battle cruiser-esque, battleships. It's got really accurate 8 16-inch guns. Really solid. It's got torpedoes, I know, which is unheard of for an American battleship, but it's got them. It's got 9-kilometer torpedoes. It's got radar. Yeah, it's got radar on a battleship. 9.9-kilometer radar, 30-second consumable duration. The Constellation is really strong in the right hands. The maneuverability, since it is a battle cruiser, it has 30-knot speed. The turning circle's pretty shit, not gonna lie. The AA is pretty good because, well, it's an American battleship. The artillery's pretty good because, well, it's an American battleship. The only downside, though, with the Constellation is it has a 27mm bow. So anything with 16-inch guns, so ships like Iowas and Massachusetts and anything can overmatch you, pretty much, except like Bismarcks and ships with 15-inch guns. So, again, not a major downside, but it's still a downside nonetheless, okay? Taking that away, you do have a pretty strong belt. That is something to mention, too. 20% torpedo protection. Again, not anything great, but it's still there. You do have a decent torpedo protection. And the Citadel is well protected. It's pretty well below the waterline, almost. It's basically waterline. So the most likely scenario where you will get Citadel is either through your cheek, like this, or when you turn in to raise your Citadel, or when you're getting shot at long range. Yeah, that's when you'll get Citadel. But other than that, pretty well protected Citadel. So you can't go wrong with Constellation. Also, I forgot to mention. I mean, I did mention it, but I didn't actually showcase it. On the Massachusetts, look at that torpedo protection. I mean, that's just unheard of. 50% torpedo damage reduction is redonkulous. Oh yeah, and the Citadel is actually well below the waterline, so it's really hard to Citadel a South Dakota class battleship at close range. So overall, I still recommend it, man. These battleships are amazing. So for the Japanese battleships, I would recommend Key, but it's not available for doubloons, so I cannot recommend it. Another solid tier 7. I've heard good things about Monarch, but it's not a tier 7 for doubloons. For the Germans, I don't think there's actually a tier 7 for doubloons, is there? Nope. For the French, Flandre, I would not recommend Flandre. I know it's a good ship, but I did not have a good experience with the Flandre, so I would not recommend it. But if you like Frenchies, I mean, you probably won't be able to, you know, go wrong with it. I just personally, I don't care for it too much, but I know it's a strong ship in the right hands. Like, Simpin, if you're watching, I know you fucking absolutely love your Flandre, but could not be me, man. I think that's about it, actually. I don't think there's many other tier 7 battleships available for global XP. I think most of them are kind of, yeah, that's basically it. So that's for the tier 7s, just the Americans. I mean, the American battleships are super strong. And I know America right now probably sounds like a joke to you. It's like, oh, American ships, bunch of fat McDonald's people. Bro, you guys gotta set that aside and actually look at the stats and look at those ships. They're amazing. They're actually really fucking strong. It's not just my American bias, although I do love my country, but I assure you it's not my bias. Like, they're actually good. Like, look at the stats and look how they're actually, you know, how they actually perform. Like, they're actually really solid ships. Okay. Now for tier 6 battleships, I think we're going to have a bit more options here. There really isn't actually an American tier 6 battleship, I don't think. I mean, there's Florida, but I'm not going to recommend Florida. Like, I'm not going to ever buy it, probably, and I'm never probably going to like it. I mean, like, on paper, it should be good. It's got 16 14-inch guns, but it just isn't good. Like, it's just blah. It's just it's just so bad, dude. Like, I've heard horrible things about the Florida. But then again, I can't recommend it. I cannot not recommend it. Like, it's just, I haven't played it, and I don't want to play it. Like, Japan, the Ashitaka would not recommend. Just, fuck no. For the UK, oh, here's some good ones in the UK. Resistance is really good. I like the Resistance. It is a battle cruiser. I would recommend it. It's pretty solid all around. Great speed, decent maneuverability. It's got torpedoes. It's got 15-inch guns, and they are the British 15-inch guns that are found on the Warspite and the Queen Elizabeth, so they're really solid. Overall, you can't go wrong with the Resistance. It's got engine boosts. It's got sonar for a battleship at tier 6. It's got, again, actually, it's got 11-kilometer torpedoes on my build. 11-kilometer torpedoes. Pretty funny. And the armor is not bad either. But it's still a battle cruiser, but it's, you know, it's still going to struggle sometimes. Like, anything with 15-inch guns or bigger is just going to go straight through your bow like butter. And, well, the Citadel is, well, it's actually kind of sloped, as you guys can see. So you do have a little bit of Citadel protection, but not a lot. So you got to be careful. But you can't go wrong with the Resistance. I mean, you really can't. It's not a bad ship. I can't recommend Collingwood. I just can't. I haven't played it, and I probably won't ever because I don't want to pick it up. But I will recommend Hood. Hood is a fun option. Hood is another battle cruiser. It's fast. It's got, again, it's got those 15-inch guns that are found on the Warspite and the Queen Elizabeth, and they have 8 of them, just like the Vanguard. So yeah, it also has two extra shells as well. It can fire in its salvo, compared to the Resistance. So Hood's not a bad option. Again, the only downside with the Hood is the fact that it has pretty bad armor, just like the Resistance. But it's not horrible either. Like, it's 25 millimeters. So if you're top tier, most things won't be able to overmatch you. And your belt is actually pretty strong. It's how most British battleships are. So I do like the Hood. Hood's not bad. I do actually really enjoy it. But it does require a bit of skill. to play, I will say. You can't just be sailing broadside all willy-nilly. You know, you got to apply some brains, you know what I mean? And the Nelson. Nelson is probably my top pick. I mean, Nelson is just so good. It really is. Nelson has 9 16-inch guns, and it has some of the best high explosive in the game. The Nelson HE that you could just smack the fuck out of people. It's just ridiculous. It's amazing. It also has short fused armor piercing, so against cruisers you can absolutely obliterate them. Nelson has super heals, by the way, and they are super heals. 1,187 HP per second, so the heals are really good. The only downside, though, is that 25mm armor on the bow. And you will get Citadel if you get caught broadside. The Citadel is gigantor. But if you're not, if you're not playing, horribly and you're not making mistakes, the Citadel is not a big of an issue. You can use islands, you can use cover, you can keep cycling those 16-inch guns and not exposing that Citadel, So, again, you just got to be careful. You got to angle that belt. I actually really fucking enjoy the Nelson. As long as you're not the center of attention, you can have great games in the Nelson. It's just those guns. Those guns are amazing. The 16-inch 406mm guns are just so good. Another good one is Duke of York. If you like the King George V, this is another really solid option. It's got really good high explosive. It's got decent short fused armor piercing. It's got overall it's solid, man. It's really good. It's got sonar, heals. It's pretty quick, and it's got good armor. 26mm everywhere. So I mean, it can protect you against some stuff, but you don't want to be the center of attention though in the Duke of York. You want to be careful, and you only have 14-inch guns, so you're not going to be able to overmatch people. A lot of people. You're going to be swapping a lot between high explosive and armor piercing, but it does have improved armor piercing over the King George V. So you can't go wrong with the Duke of York. I mean, I like the Duke of York. I gotta buy it back. I really do. But until then, I am gonna recommend it though. So overall, UK has some really solid options for Tier 6 battleships. I mean, they are, honestly, in my opinion, they have the best. The United Kingdom has the best fucking battleships for Tier 6. They just do. They're really good. I absolutely love them. The Germans, I don't think there's any in here that I'm gonna recommend. I mean, Scharnhorst, I can't recommend it. I just can't, dude. Compared to, like, other ships, I just can't. Don't get me wrong, you can have good games in Scharnhorst, but the problem I have with the Scharnhorst is their guns are they're too anemic. They're too small. Yes, you can get the reload down and all that, but they're just so trolly and they're so inconsistent. And that's the thing with me. I have to have a consistent battleship. If my battleship is not consistent, it just isn't for me. But you still can have good games, though, in the Scharnhorst. I mean, if you like brawlers, I guess this is a really good option for you. Scharnhorst has really good armor. Honestly, the best armor for any battleship at Tier 6. It's got an icebreaker as well. So I guess I'll recommend it for brawling people out there. If you like your brawlers, getting in close and shit, Scharnhorst can do that really well. And I think that's honestly about it. There's not many other, like Strasbourg, I never played it, and it's just a Dunkirk at Tier 6 with a reload booster and shit. I'll pass on that. Yeah, I'm not recommending the Russian battleship. So, overall, I think that's going to do it, though. I mean, I think I covered most of the stuff. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Almost a 40-minute long video. I know, pretty long, but some people have been requesting me do a video about some ships to recommend for the people who want to use that 70% off coupon. So there you go. I would not recommend spending it, on Tier 4 and 5 premiums. Use that coupon on Tier 6 and 7 premiums, especially a Tier 7 premium. For newer players, or for people who are struggling with the economy in this game, getting your hands on as many Tier 6 and 7 premium ships as you can is going to be super beneficial for you in the long term. So, yeah, try to get one, man. Get a good Tier 6 or 7 premium that you can do really well in, and you will start farming credits like crazy, man. So, nonetheless, everybody, thank you all for watching. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your weeks, and I will catch you all later. Bye-bye.